If you're the parent of a neurodiverse learner, you know the feeling. The school calls, the meltdowns, the sense that your child with ADHD, dyslexia, executive function challenges is just slipping through the cracks.
And you start looking for a way out, for an alternative.
And two options pop up almost immediately: homeschooling and virtual school. They look like the answer.
They do. They promise a safe harbor from a system that feels like it's failing.
Exactly. And here's the trap. The initial deception, really, from the outside, they look identical. I mean, both happen at home, both promise this flexibility your kid needs, both seem like an escape. It's so easy to think they're basically the same thing.
But they're not. And the sources we've looked at draw a really, really sharp line in the sand. This is probably one of the most critical distinctions a family can make.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The mission for this deep dive is to slice right through that surface level similarity. We need to uncover why these two options are, well, fundamentally different for neurodiverse learners. And it's about understanding that choosing the wrong one, even with the best intentions, can actually make things worse.
That's the key.
Oh.
What's so fascinating here is that the physical location, the fact that it's all happening at home, is almost irrelevant.
Really?
Yeah. The real difference is about who holds the responsibility, the accountability, and maybe most importantly, the specialized expertise.
Yeah.
That's the core of it.
Wait, that's a powerful way to put it. You're saying a parent who loves their child, who stays up all night researching, still can't match what a virtual school can provide.
In many cases, no. And the line is drawn at that specialized evidence-based training. But look, before we get there, we need to get our definition straight. Let's start with homeschooling, HS.
Okay.
When we talk about HS, the sources are defining a system where the parent takes on, well, absolute control and responsibility.
And what does absolute responsibility actually look like day to day?
It means you, the parent, are responsible for literally everything. You're the one researching and picking the curriculum. You're delivering all of the instruction. You're assessing progress, grading the work, and you're the troubleshooter when a concept just isn't landing.
So you're not just supervising, you're the designer, the instructor, the grader, everything.
All of it. And critically, you're also the one providing the structure, the motivation, and the accountability. For a neurodiverse learner, those three things are completely non-negotiable, and the parent has to build them from the ground up every single day.
Wow. Okay, so on the flip side, we have virtual school, or VS, still at home, still at the kitchen table, but structured completely differently.
Completely. A professional virtual school means your child is enrolled in a real accredited school. They have real classes with certified teachers, often in real time, just through a screen.
So the school is handling the curriculum, the instruction, the expertise. If the school is providing all that, what's the parent's actual job?
Your job becomes supportive. It's minimal, really. You provide a quiet space, a working internet connection, and you're there for emotional support. The weight of the education, the curriculum, the teaching, the enforcing, that's all on the school's shoulders. You get to be the parent again, not the instructor.
That shift in responsibility it's huge.
Yeah.
Especially when we start digging into the really steep requirements of homeschooling a neurodiverse child. This is where it gets so interesting, because we have to be really honest here about the demands this puts on a parent.
This is often where it all starts to break down.
Yeah.
Even for the most dedicated families. You realize pretty quickly that specialized knowledge isn't just a nice to have. It's a requirement to make any real progress.
Let's take dyslexia, for instance. The sources are crystal clear on this. Teaching a child with a significant reading difference isn't just about being patient. It takes specialized, evidence-based training. We're talking about things like the Orton-Gillingham methodology, systematic phonics, multisensory techniques.
Right. And we should be clear, these aren't things you could just pick up from a YouTube tutorial over the weekend. Orton-Gillingham, for example. It's an incredibly intensive, structured system. Becoming certified to teach it properly takes hundreds of hours of supervised training.
That's such a critical distinction. A parent could go out and buy a $500 curriculum that says multisensory, but if they don't have the training on how to use it, how to diagnose which specific sounds their child is missing, how to provide that intensive repetition, they can just end up spinning their wheels.
Absolutely. The reality is most parents, even brilliant, highly educated parents, just don't have that specific training. You have all the motivation in the world, but without the method, you could spend years going in circles and not know why.
And then you have to layer on the needs of kids with ADHD and this is the big one, I think, executive function challenges.
Yes, let's just quickly define that. When we say executive function deficits, we're talking about the brain's management system, the ability to start a task organize your time, manage emotions, that kind of thing.
So what do those kids need to make up for that internal deficit?
They need external scaffolding. They thrive on it. A predictable, consistent schedule. A system of accountability that makes sure they start and finish work.
Yeah.
And they need it every single day, whether you're having a good day or a bad day.
And that consistency, that's the second huge roadblock for homeschooling parents, isn't it?
It's a scheduling nightmare. I
Yeah.
mean, trying to maintain that rigorous structure while also working or managing other kids or just dealing with your own life, it's incredibly hard.
The sources basically say that successful homeschooling for a neurodiverse child is a full-time job.
It is. And if you're trying to squeeze it in around another job, something has to give. And usually it's the very consistency that your child needs the most.
Which leads right into the third point, and maybe the most painful one, the emotional toll, the relational cost.
This is where a family's best intentions can really, really backfire. You pull your child out of school to protect them, to protect your relationship with them, but then you become their primary teacher and enforcer.
But the thinking is, I'm doing it with love, so it's different, right? That's what parents tell themselves.
It's the deepest justification. But the sources are pretty clear on the psychological toll. That struggle that used to happen between your child and their teacher, now it's happening between you and your child right there at the kitchen table.
So you become the source of the conflict.
You assign the math. You're grading the paper. You're the one telling them to sit still when their brain is screaming to move. You're shouldering all of the emotional frustration that comes with their learning difference.
And that must be exhausting.
For everyone. The very relationship you were trying to protect from school pressure is now getting frayed because you've become the main source of that pressure. The parent stops being the safe harbor and starts being the taskmaster.
Okay, that paints a really challenging picture. So if homeschooling asks too much of the parent, let's pivot. What does a professional virtual school actually offer as a direct solution to all of this?
Well, this is where the model flips. VS is designed to bring in the exact things the parent is missing: professional training, external accountability, and a non-family enforcement role.
Let's start with the instruction piece. The expertise available in some of these virtual schools is it's on another level from what an untrained parent can offer.
It is. VS teachers are hired specifically because they're already trained in these evidence-based methods. That's what you're paying for. The sources give a great example of schools that use process teachers.
A process teacher, what is that exactly?
They're instructors who are certified in specific intensive intervention techniques. So they might be Orton Gillingham certified, specializing in teaching dyslexic students to read. Or they might be experts in cognitive behavioral methods for managing ADHD. Their whole job is tackling those specific hurdles.
That kind of targeted expertise is huge. It ensures the instruction is actually corrective, not just, repeating the same thing over and over.
And then there's accountability. We said kids with executive function challenges need that external scaffolding. The VS model provides it, but the parent doesn't have to be the enforcer.
How does that actually work in a virtual setting?
It's a non-negotiable structure. There's a schedule. Classes start at 9. Work has to be turned in. And crucially, there's someone else, a teacher, an administrator, who notices when your child doesn't show up or isn't engaged.
So the check-in comes from the teacher, not from you.
Exactly. The teacher, or maybe an academic coach, calls the child. Or they send an email saying work is overdue. That burden is off the parent. It allows the child to build accountability with a professional, which is a step towards independence.
We can't forget the social piece either. Isolation can be a really big problem with homeschooling.
A huge factor. But in a specialized VS, the child isn't isolated. They're part of a small group of students who have similar challenges. They're all dyslexic, or they all have ADHD.
And why is that specific kind of socialization so important?
It's about shared understanding. They build friendships with kids who actually get it, who know what it's like to read slowly or forget an assignment. It cuts down on the stigma and builds a unique kind of confidence. It's a real community.
Which brings us all the way back to preserving that family relationship.
Right. When you hand the teaching, the accountability, the structure back to professionals, you get to just be the parent again. You're the encourager, the supporter, not the grader. And that is invaluable.
If you're listening to this and it's all sounding a little too familiar, you might be in what the sources call the homeschool burnout pattern. It's a really common trap.
Oh, it's an almost universal story. You pull your child out, and for a few weeks, maybe a few months, things feel better. The immediate stress of the school environment is gone. It's a honeymoon phase.
But then reality hits. The sources describe these classic breakdowns. The kid who couldn't focus at school still can't focus at home, but now you're the one trying to manage it while also answering a work email.
Or that expensive curriculum you bought. It's too advanced. It assumes skills your child just doesn't have, and suddenly you're up at 10 p.m. trying to figure out how to teach long division a different way, feeling completely lost.
That flexibility you wanted so badly turns into a total lack of structure, which actually makes your neurodiverse child more anxious. And you end up exhausted, feeling like you've failed them.
And this is so important. The message from the sources is clear. You haven't failed as a parent. You attempted to take on a professional role, a specialized interventionist, without the training and support that role requires. It's not a sustainable model.
So before anyone makes this choice, there are some really critical questions you need to ask yourself. And you have to be brutally honest with the answers.
First one, do you personally have the specialized instructional training like an Orton-Gillingham certification to teach your child's specific learning difference?
Second, can you realistically maintain a consistent, rigorous daily structure while managing all your other responsibilities? Because for executive function, that consistency is everything.
Third, does your child need external accountability? Someone outside the family to notice and intervene when they're struggling.
And fourth, this is a tough one. Are you really prepared for how becoming the primary teacher and enforcer is going to change your relationship with your child?
And finally, do you have a solid socialization plan? One that connects your child with peers who actually understand their experience.
When you lay it all out like that, the synthesis from the sources becomes pretty clear. The child needs a few key things: specialized instruction from trained people, external structure they can't provide for themselves, and peers who get it.
And they need their parents to be their safe harbor, not their academic taskmaster. A professional virtual school, one that's built for learning differences, is often the most direct way to provide those first three things so the parent can focus on just being the parent.
So what does this all mean for you? The ultimate goal, no matter what you choose, is to find a setup that lets everyone do what they do best. Let the teachers teach, let the students learn, and let the parents support without burning out.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. If you've tried homeschooling and it didn't work out, that doesn't mean home-based education is wrong for your family. It just means your child needed more professional support than any single parent could ever be expected to provide on their own. And that raises a bigger question, doesn't it? Where else in our lives do we confuse the location, the kitchen table, with actual specialized professional expertise?